All right, my MTOPS traders, welcome back to the course. We are now on module number 8. We're going to be covering the oscillator. Now, if you've been trading for a while, you're going to say, oh man, this is going to be a boring module. I might agree with you a little bit there, as many guys have utilized the oscillator in the past. However, what I want to say is that other traders have learned the bad habit of putting too much emphasis on the oscillators, where we're not going to do that at all. We're going to utilize the oscillator to confirm previous turning points and to suggest where the next turning point might be. In terms of the MTOPS forecasting, the oscillator gets the least power of the score. It's just a gentle guide of what could happen next, but we never overemphasize what's going to happen next from the oscillator. So just a little word of precaution when you're trading in the future. If it's late at night, or if you've been sitting at the computer for too long and you're getting lazy, never just look at the oscillator to give you a quick entry or help you decide on its own whether or not to get in or out of a trade. It's definitely not powerful enough on its own to make trade decisions from. So it's always just a soft additional tool utilized to the strategy. So just keep that in mind, and just thank me in advance if ever you find yourself in those circumstances, because I've definitely saved you a lot of losses. All right, so let's get into it right now. Okay, so the O of MTOPS, there we go, MTOPS. The O of MTOPS is the oscillator. We've decided to use the moving averages convergence divergence oscillator. Now, please don't blame me for that crazy long name. It's the guys in trading just love to overcomplicate things. So I would have just said the lines that cross show overbought and oversold. Utilize that. This moving averages, convergence, divergence is really overkill. But anyway, let's get into it. So what you need to do is you go to your TradingView chart and you press the / button on your keyboard anywhere on the chart. So let's go to our keyboard, bang, hit that / button. Generally, you'll see the public library come up. In the search bar, you type MACD, and then you'll see it come through. Now, I've put a star next to it over here. By adding a star to this indicator, it puts the MACD into the favorite section. So we're going to click on that, and then you'll see on the chart that the MACD is now up there. Once you have it in your chart, you will look for situations where the MACD peaks above the upper threshold or below the threshold. We will use the overbought and oversold signals to confirm previous trading points. So if you're new to trading, then what I'm saying about the oversold and overbought will be the tips of the tops and the tips of the bottoms on the oscillator. So this up here indicates overbought, and that down there says oversold. So the theory behind it is that when there are too many guys who are making purchases, it runs up to a certain point, utilizes the volume of that order book as backup, and when it gets to an exhaustion point, you'll see that many traders will utilize an oscillator like the MACD to get out of their trades, take their profit, and wait for this to return back down to here where the guys will sell, 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 until it's oversold. All right. And once it's oversold and exhausted itself to the bottom side, it will continue up. Buy, 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 until it's overbought. And then the guys will sell, 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 until it's oversold. And then buy, 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 until overbought. And there we go, up and down, up and down, up and down. So let's bring it back to what we're looking at here. We will utilize the MACD for 3 reasons. First, it gives us an additional confirming of turning points. I'm going to read this first, and then we're going to get into the practical thereafter. Second, we use the indicator to help protect us against turning point slippages. So we'll get again into that with the examples over here. One of the drawbacks to any subjective approach is that you can lose patience and get into a trade too soon or too late. So when you get into a trade around here, there can be a turning point slippage where it drops off to over there. It's always best to wait for a turning point to be exhausted and go up in that direction. Now, yes, I just realized that I said I was going to get into this later and read this first, so I'm going to continue by completing this text, and then we'll get into further examples without the text. So first, it gives us additional confirmation of turning points. Now, this is very big stuff, guys, because as you can see, our 10 cycle turning points up top, you'll notice directly below that in this MACD, you're also going to have a 10-point turning point cycle on the MACD as well. So they work coincidingly, they work hand in hand. Now we'll utilize this number 9 down here as well. So number 9 goes to 10. So let's take the text away. And you'll be able to see that there's 9 and there's turning point 10. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to go for over here, go on its way up. And then you'll see as above, there's 1. I'm just going to show you guys a little bit clearer here. And magically, there's 1 as well. So let's go to the next turning point. Here is 2. And there's 2 lining up. Here is 3. And now here's a tricky play that we have unfolding in front of us. So what's important, guys, is to remain in the MTOPS community group, because trading is not easy. Financial freedom is not for everyone. You've got to really, you got to have a certain level of intellect, and also you've got to work at this. And by having a community of professionals around you, the guesswork reduces itself quite significantly. So make sure that you post your charts to the community, and we get to give you some feedback on what we're seeing. Here's a prime example of where a community would have been great. So over here, we would have seen that this could have been a potential turning point, given the peak of this MACD over here. Now, if you're another trader, and I don't mean to rat on the other traders, but I mean, there are a lot of guys out there who believe they know what they're doing, and they're just causing guys tons of losses because they actually don't. So that's the reason why I keep on bringing them into the picture, because we're here to better the environment as a whole, including debunking the guys who really don't understand how to utilize this. So if ever you see anyone putting too much emphasis on an oscillator, just be like, yo, be more responsible, man. Okay, so 3 could have formed here. And that's what many guys may have gone short and then lost their position as price then went up. Let me try to highlight what I'm saying over here. So they would have gone short and then bam, stop loss would have been hit and would have lost their position. Where in fact, 3 actually formed further on, which on the oscillator is lower than there. I'm sure you guys can see that without me overemphasizing it. That's lower than there. All right. So 3 is there. 3 is there. See how it lines up. And then on to 4. Once again, 4 is not absolutely perfect. In line with the oscillator, right? Because the bottom here on the oscillator is there, which is further than where the actual price action was. Okay, so to emphasize this again, guys, and like I said, you're going to be spending a lot of time in front of the screen, and days are going to be long, and you're going to get lazy at time. And you look at the oscillator and think, oh man, it's time to get in, it's time to get out. It looks as if it's going to switch here. Let's just make a trade. Do not do that. Never ever do that. Never put too much emphasis on this oscillator. As you've just seen, it's not going to work. As you've just seen over there as well, it's just not going to work. We utilize this in the MTOP strategy for sure, but we utilize this in a softer way in comparison to the other forecasting tools. So again, you'll thank me in the future. Don't put too much emphasis. Don't put too much pressure on it. As you can see over here once more, it continued going up, where it could have shown a turning point on the bottom. Let's see over here, continue to go up. And that's where 5 actually formed. So 5 didn't form there, it formed there. And thanks to the other forecasting tools in the MTOPS system, we would have been well aware with the time projection and the price projection that this wasn't going to be the turning point. I'm pretty sure I don't need to continue. You guys have seen exactly how this works and how it will work for you. Give it some practice, try it out for yourself. If you're new to trading, it will definitely open your eyes a bit to like, wow, this is pretty magical stuff. But once you've gone to a bit of experience with it, you'll see that it's not perfect. And you need to have the power of the rest of the strategy to actually bring it to life. And so on and so on and so on. There's 7. 8 and all that. Okay, so now, because as a part of the MTOPS scoring, and we utilize the MTOPS scoring inside the MTOPS criterion, I just want to show you where areas of 0 would be, areas of 1 would be, and areas of 2 would be. So what do I mean by that? As you already know, I'm sure, 1 is a no. Sorry, 0 is a no. 1 is unsure or needing further confirmation, and 2 is a solid yes. So let's have a look at what I'm talking about now. I'm going to go to this area, see where the text is. There we go. All right, so now you see that text. Let's put that to use. So as you know, with the MTOPS criterion, we get scores of either 0, 1, or 2. So if we have a look around here, to get into an environment where the price is flat and it's not showing complete indication of whether it wants to go up or down, we'll give it a no. Now, can you see along here where it is flat and uncertain, or just straight up flat? That's right. There it is right there. So this area over here would have attracted a no. We would have put a 0 in, as there is no clear shape of up or down, and therefore we're unhappy with what the oscillator is saying, so we let the market decide what it likes to do next, and then we act thereafter. Okay, so now we're going to look at number 1, unsure or needs further confirmation. So this is when you come to these little areas such as this. It's come up, it's had a slight little dip, and it continues to go up again. Now it's difficult to tell this ahead of time, and this is again when you're going to utilize your time projection and your price projection tools, your market structure, as well as your support and resistance to help you out here. So when it goes to a little bit of a double top, or it comes down but doesn't get too deep before the price action continues up, we're not going to say it's a solid yes, and we utilize a score of 1 as we're unsure of what it's trying to tell us and needs further confirmation. Now when we utilize the number 2 as a full yes, it'll be in these gorgeous shapes, these clean cut and defined shapes. These clean cut and defined shapes, clean cut and defined, clean cut and defined, until that gets to that section, I suppose. So that's what will attract a yes. Now this is just a brief example on this one cycle. Be sure to stay tuned to the daily video market updates to get further examples of what it's like in the real trading world. But I hope you get the idea of how this all works by now. Now, just to finish off this video, we're going to utilize an example of where the oscillator did certainly help depict a turning point for confirmation. So as you can see, 7 lined up quite well down there. So that's our 7. 6 to 7, you can see by the line that the cursor brings, and then 7 to 8. This was a little sloppy, so we will have marked this as unsure because it continued to slide out, but that was because of this flat action that's to come. The market needed to get some sideways action to depict what it wanted to do, and because there was a lower high, there was a trend reversal. So this was also an indication that some downward action was coming on its way. Don't worry about it if you're feeling overwhelmed at all. Practice, 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 guys, and you'll get on top of this and be masters of it. So there, you could see there is some sideways triangle action, and then it dropped off. Now, what I want to show you as a strong point of interest is that where this drops off, one would think that it'll come down to there. So let me show you what I'm talking about up here as well. So from 9 to 10, you would imagine then 9 would come all the way down to 10. All right? That wasn't the case. That's wrong. And I'll tell you why. 10 formed over here, in fact. 10 formed over here, in fact. So in this circumstance, the oscillator really saved our butt, because they went from 9 to 10. Then from 10 to 1, and from 1 to 2, and from 2 to 3, and from 3 to 4. And if we want to continue here, 4 to 5, and as you can see, 5 to 6 is now forming. And there we go, there's another confirmation. So in this circumstance, the oscillator really stepped up for us as an inclusion, as a part of the strategy as a whole, not on its own. And then bang, as you'll see, it lines up nicely, getting some better confluence. Came down, we aren't sure about that, would have left it at number 1 on the M-top scoring, and then came down to there. As you can see, it lines up nicely. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, bang, a nice little run up to 5. Again, you'll be able to tell by our M-top strategy that 5 wasn't there. 5 normally forms on the midway, so that's the end of the week, that's the start of the week. Normally forms on the midway, it's just a typical 5 signature, and then bang, it says I'm exhausted, I need to come back down a bit, and it'll form somewhere wherever it needs to form. And once again, we can utilize the time projection tool to anticipate where that will be. So guys, I'm pretty sure you get the gist of this. Stay close to the daily market video updates, as you'll get to see it in live action with all the price action that goes down in this crazy market that we love, old Bitcoin. So that's it for this part of the module. I hope you guys will send me any questions that you might have, and spend some time with this. You'll enjoy it. And from here we move on to the next module. I'll see you in the price projection.